Hey, tech enthusiast. Today we're checking out Dolphin, not the sea creature, but an awesome file manager that's also your ticket to smooth remote transfers through SFTP, which stands for Secure File Transfer Protocol. Imagine having files scattered on your computer and you want to securely send them elsewhere. Dolphin isn't just a file explorer, it's a sleek and speedy companion for navigating the digital domain. Dolphin is your SFTP superhero, making secure file transfers a breeze. So, without further ado, let's jump into step one of the setup. If you're using VirtualBox virtual machines, make sure that the following network settings are in place. If not, continue by logging on to your localhost. Now that we're logged into the localhost, make sure to open up your terminal and run the following commands to enhance your operating system. Afterwards, we're going to install Dolphin. It might take a few minutes for the updates to be complete. Kindly embrace the brief wait. As soon as the operating system completes the Dolphin install, we're going to transition to the remote host to obtain the IP address for the setup of our remote connection. In your terminal window, enter the following command to obtain the local IP address if the remote host is on the same network. If not, use a command in the description to obtain the public IP address of your remote host. Since you have the IP address, you can now switch back to the local host. Now we're going to install OpenSSH, which is your guardian, especially when it comes to secure file transfers using SSH, which stands for Secure Shell, and SFTP. Now we're going to open port 22 in the firewall, which are for SSH and SFTP connections. Now we're going to generate a public and private key pair using SSH keygen. Press the Enter key at each prompt. Now we're going to create a SSH configuration file in the SSH directory if it doesn't already exist, and insert the following contents to add a trusted server connection. In SSH terms, the host is a computer you're connecting to, and the host name is its specific address. So in the SSH configuration file, you're basically saying, when I want to visit my friend's house, here's the exact address to find it easily. On lines 2 through 6, make sure to insert 4 spaces at the beginning. I'm going to comment out the line with the identity file since we're going to use password-based authentication to connect to the remote host. Now we're going to transition to the remote host and update its operating system, and then we're going to install the OpenSSH server on it. Once the OpenSSH server is installed, we're going to open up port 22 for SSH and SFTP connections. Now we're going to edit the SSHD configuration file to permit inbound SSH connections to your root account. Here we're going to edit 2 line entries. Now it's important that we restart the SSHD service. Now we're going to change a password to the root account to something complex. Make sure to include uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. Now we're going to set up port forwarding on the router that's connected to your remote host to allow an inbound SFTP and SSH connection. I'm going to show you how to set this up on a Verizon router since that is what I'm using on my test network. However, the steps should be very similar on most routers. Use the IP address from above to access your router and then provide the correct credentials to log in. Here we're going to go into the network security settings by clicking on firewall and then on port forwarding and add a new port forwarding rule to allow you to connect to your remote computer. The IP address that you're entering is the local IP address of your remote computer. The forwarding port that we're using is TCP port 22. And then click on add to add the new rule. Now we're going to transition to the local host to attempt to establish a connection with the remote host. Now put in your complex password and the connection should be established. The SSH connection was a success. Now we're going to open the Dolphin file manager and attempt to connect to the remote host via SFTP. Click on network and then remote and choose SFTP and put in the following to connect to your remote host. Make sure that your local or public IP address is correct. Put in your credentials and then press OK. The SFTP connection was a success. Now we're going to verify that we are indeed on the remote computer by moving into various directories. It doesn't matter which directories you're moving into, as long as you can identify the files and folders. Now we're going to click on Split to split the file manager window. Within the left navigation pane, click on Documents or any other folder to set up your left window for the local host. At this point, you have the local host on your left side and the remote host on your right side. Now we're going to create something on the right side and copy it over to the left side to make sure that the file transfer worked. If you found this video helpful, smash the like button and subscribe. Catch you next time.